Preparing the live stream.
Huh?
Our meeting is streaming.
Streaming now?
It says it is streaming.
It says live on YouTube.
Yeah, there it is. We're live. All right. Thursday combos with Joe and Roy. I don't think this is the same link as you had before, though.
This is a different link anyway, right?
Yep, this is different. So the whole going live in 30 minutes countdown. Live. All right. Oh no, that works. Thursday combos with Joe. No, that's separate. That was just a new pop-up. It was a different link though. One of these days,
YouTube's working. So is YouTube working?
YouTube is working. It's just a different link than it was earlier.
I got you.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with the link thing.
All right, so I think we're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're definitely live and in person on Zoom. So
yeah.
All right, cool. So this is our first Thursday morning conversation. I think it'd be really cool if we just did like, I don't know, let's just throw a word out there. You know, we're big John Maxwell fans, and we get our, what is it, our word of the day, Minute with Maxwell's every day. And I don't know, do you watch those things?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I watch, admittedly, I probably watch like 1 out of 5. But when I do, I don't know why I don't watch more of them, because every time I do, I get something good out of them, you know?
Yeah.
One that kind of, I guess, resonated with me last week was simplify.
Great word.
He says, I don't know. I think it's cool because words like that, you can just, tell me if it's like this for you. But for me, it's like a word will come into my life. And like when it comes into my life, it like takes on a different meaning, you know, depending on whatever is going on in my life. Like, you know, going about my business, simplify is a good example of that. I'm going about my business and I think, oh man, I've got all these irons in the fire and everything's everywhere and I'm managing it pretty well, but man, I'm pretty overwhelmed and, you know, I like chaos. So it's kind of fun. And then John Maxwell comes along in my inbox with this word simplify, and I was like, oh crap, maybe I do have too much going on. And maybe I can simplify because I know that like I can't be everything to everybody. And you know what they say, when I can do a lot of stuff, but that doesn't mean I'm doing any of it well, you know? And,
yeah.
Wow. So what does the word, maybe specifically for this year, what's simplify kind of, what context does it take for you right now?
Yeah, one of the other quotes that kind of resonated a lot with me this year was that when everything is important, nothing is. And I think that really sums up this year for me a lot. It's funny, in January, I picked a word to focus on for the year, and that word was balance. And my goal was to balance my home life with my work life and my personal time with my family time. And admittedly, I have not done very well this year. But when we talk about simplify, I think that the point there is that the more things that we try to do, the less effective we are at any one of them. And,
right.
You know, a lot of people talk about multitasking and I'm a great multitasker. And, you know, there's a lot of science behind, are you really doing one thing at a time, or are you, you know, doing a lot of different things at the same time, and, you know, all that kind of jazz. But the important part there, though, is just that when I'm focused on one thing at a time, I'm more effective and I do better work faster than when I'm trying to keep a lot of pots in the fire. And so, I mean, you and I know, running multiple businesses and having families that, you know, we really love spending time with, and our personal hobbies, like for me, photography, for you, hunting, which you've been posting a lot about lately on your social channel, which I've been loving. It's for me, it reminds me that the more that I'm doing in all of these directions scattered, the less effective that I am in any one area. And I, you know, honestly, I mean, it's a little bit depressing at the end of the day when I look back and I say, holy cow, I did 75 things today and not a single one of them was impactful, like really impactful. It's just kind of like checking all these boxes all day long, and the needle's moving. But I had a revelation last weekend, and that was that the most important things are the most important things. And a lot of the things that I enjoy to do are not necessarily things that people pay me to do. And so when I'm focused on those things, I'm actually kind of hurting my end goal personally. This is my personal goal, right? My
Yeah,
personal goal is
right.
to reach certain objectives, and I'm missing those. And if anybody's caught my YouTube or my social channels talking about intentionality, I'm kind of dropping the ball on my own intentionality because I'm so scattered. I'm so not focused on any one thing. That's kind of where Simplified hitting me.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because like I've really preached the mantra of, find something, like find something you love to do and figure out how to get paid to do it, right? And I think the key to that is find something you love to do so much that you're willing to do it for free, and then figure out a way to get paid to do it. Like learn to do it well enough that people will happily pay you for it. Maybe in photography, right? It's, maybe you're not the best photographer when you start, but then you start to pick up the right equipment and the right skills. And I think there's something to having like primitive tools and like mastering primitive tools before you can really afford to buy the expensive stuff. I think
Yeah.
it makes you better at whatever your craft is. For example, I'll give you a really good example when it comes to hunting, right? I've been hunting I'm 43 now, so since I was 5. So I've been hunting for 38 years, right? And I've never had a tree stand. I've never owned a tree stand in 38 years. I've been in the woods and seen a ladder stand, and I've climbed up in that stand and sat for a day, but I've never owned a tree stand. And if you can hunt deer, stalk a deer and hunt it from the ground and get it, like it's got to get pretty close because you're looking above the bushes and the brush and everything. If you can do that, then like I just think that with that primitive art and the mastery of that, when you start to introduce these other tools, so like this year I bought a tree stand, I bought a climber stand. And so for the first time in my life, I'm literally hunting from a tree stand, my own tree stand. I haul it in the woods. I find the right tree. And for years, I've looked at all these trees. I'm like, that'd be a perfect tree for a stand. And this year I took it out there, and I have to tell you that it was a game changer. When I got up in that tree and I could see above the little bush there, and I got different shooting lanes, and it was so exciting for me to just kind of change the game a little bit and really advance my by advancing my tools. I think I've advanced my skills, but having the premise, knowing how to hunt first, I think makes me a better hunter when I do have the additional tools like a tree stand or maybe a trail cam. And I start thinking about all these other things, and like I'm just like hooked on the toys now. I still haven't figured out how to get paid to be a hunter or fisherman or whatever, but that could be fun. I don't think that has nothing to do with simplification. Actually, it complicates things more because I got more crap to carry in the woods. But I love the idea, like of you find yourself out here doing all this stuff, and then but you don't have time to do the things that you love to do the most. So how do we simplify and get to that point where we're getting paid to do the things we love?
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting you say that, because one of the things that I've found to be true is that sometimes the money comes from the place that you're not expecting the money to come from.
Yeah.
And, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and, I'd be lying if I didn't say that it would be a dream to kind of have a YouTube channel that had, tens of hundreds of thousands of followers or whatever, and sponsors coming out of the woodwork wanting to pay me, and that's great. That's good. But what's interesting is that right now, with not a million followers or anything like that, I've had 5 people reach out to me and ask me to do video shoots with them. And so it's taking this online content that I'm creating, I'm building a community, and then now offline, people are asking me to come out and hang out with them or make videos with them, or, I've been paid to do videography since launching this channel, which is something that I had not done before. And so the money does come from places. It's just, I think sometimes we have to be open to alternates than what we think the money is going to be. Oh, well, once I get a sponsor, I'll be successful. Well, guess what? I in one day, I can make more money shooting a video than I can from a sponsor with my channel that has, I don't even know how many people, 300 people. right? And it's growing and it's getting a lot of engagement, over 1,000 watch hours last month, or 1,000 watch minutes, not hours.
Say, well, you're hammering down pretty hard on that one.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting because it does come from a different angle. And I think I actually was talking to somebody last night about the toys and the qualifications and things like that people pursue, hoping that it's going to achieve something for them. I mean, I think that photography is like the epitome of you can dump money into anything, anywhere, anytime. And there is a photography tool that will make your photography better. And what I've found personally is that the more that I invest in the tools, the more time I'm just spending learning new tools instead of mastering my craft at the basics.
That's my point. Yeah, that's kind of the point I was making before.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't have time to learn or master or even enjoy the art because you're fooling with the tools. And I love what you did with your kids this weekend. That was really cool, is to bring it. It's not about the best photo. It's not about, for anybody watching who doesn't know, Roy went out for a photo shoot with his kids this weekend, and everybody had a camera, and they had a little friendly competition to see who could take the most colorful fall photo. And it wasn't even about the craft at all. It was just about capturing the colors, which is a fundamental to good photography. So it's reinforcing the principles that make photography good in the first place. And I think that's really cool. And it brought it back to the basics. Well, and we say that about marketing too. That I always preach about the principles of marketing, I always talk about that. So I think it's kind of telling. I mean, if we go back to simplification being the core of this conversation, is how do you simplify? And I think that's probably the easiest way to simplify, is to go back to, the founding principles of whatever it is, whether it's your business or your family or your hobby or whatever your craft is. I think that's probably it. To simplify, just go back to the basics, go back to the principles. Because here's what we do know. Principles are never changing, right? That's the fundamental, the core of what makes it the thing that it is. And while the tactics will change, the principles don't change. So the principles of good photography, the principles of effective hunting, or effective hunting principles, marketing, business, whatever it is, I think principles are so core to simplifying, because that's where it all starts, right?
Yeah. Well, and let's bring that back to business for a minute, because we launched Pure Lotta this year, and talk about the epitome of forgetting the basics sometimes. I love starting companies because they're so exciting, and the opportunity factor is like through the roof. And once you start diving in, you just kind of start hitting roadblocks. And with CBD products in particular, there are about 100 times more roadblocks than anything else. I mean, something as simple as a payment processor, has caused us so many sleepless nights. It's ridiculous. Not that they're not out there, sure, but integrating them in the tools that we're trying to do and meet the business objective, it's just kind of like the prime example this year of things that are so simple today, but are so complicated just because it's a CBD product. But the other thing with that, in terms of simplifying, is that sometimes me especially, I get so caught up in the details. Oh, I need to change that picture. That picture just isn't quite right. Or I get so caught up in, I have to do this before I can do any of these other things. And, we actually just had a conversation. I mean, it was only 2 or 3 weeks ago, when we're talking about back to the basics of, sales are the number one driving factor in business, because if you have no sales, you have no business. You just have a website, and that's not a business. And so going back to the basics, even there, simplify it. Like, how can we get our product in front of more people so that more people are aware that it exists? And that's more important than, okay, I have the perfect picture on the website or whatever. We know that we have to have an engaging experience, otherwise people will bounce off the page. But if we're face to face with somebody, we have far more effect in the beginning than we do just saying, oh, go visit my website. Because people will go visit the website and they're like, okay, that's nice, see you later. But when I talk to you, I build relationships of core foundational principle of business relationships. People buy from people who they know, trust, and like, right?
Yeah.
I need to build trust with you to build trust in my product. And I can tell you about the amazing vegan drops that are sugar-free that I love, that you know, I always keep here. I can tell you about them, but the simplest things are building relationships, building networks, building distribution channels and things, right?
Well, and being patient, right? I mean, we forget that, of the billions of people in the world, the people that we reach with our own voice is a very, 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 not even a grain of sand in the, in the bottom of the entire ocean. It's insignificant, really, the people that we can reach with our own voices. And it takes time. I mean, it takes time to get the word out. And then on that, it's got to build confidence, like you said. And then it's got to be the person who has a need at that time. And then they have to recall the message that we've put out there. You could probably name 50 restaurants right off the cuff, right? That doesn't mean you're going to, as soon as you're hungry, you're going to go to, you're going to go to one of those 50 restaurants, but the other 49 are going to be like, well, why didn't he buy from me?
Yeah.
And that's just how we purchase that. It's how we buy stuff, is we don't. And so as people who are building brands and have products to sell, I think we have to remember that, and we have to be patient, because the people we talk to may, they may have a need for what, or a want for what we have to offer, but maybe now is not the time that they need it or want it, right? Or maybe with a product like CBD, for example, where there's still a lot of questions in, the public consumer's mind, like maybe they don't know enough about CBD to make the purchase now. And so we have to be patient, I think, in educating people about CBD, and particularly our CBD, why they should buy what we're selling from Pure Lotta rather than a gas station or some other place for that matter.
Mhm.
And then we gotta wait. We gotta wait for the right time and place for them to buy it. And then we have to remind them. We have to continue to remind them in a passive way, that so that when that moment comes, that they are ready to buy, that they'll consider Pure Lotta as the source. So there's a lot that goes to it when building a new brand, and that's why they say, hey, you really need 3 to 5 years of runway when you start a business if you want to succeed, because it does take that long to build a new brand. It takes that long to build a base of people who get the message and want the message. And that's just not, and that's not even assuming everybody's going to buy every day, even if they have the need, the want, and they're trusting your product. So that's the hard part for me, because I'm a, low fact, high quick start. Let's go get it done. That's why I enjoy starting things and handing them off to other people to do. But I gotta remember to be patient as we build this new brand and build other things. Even our conference, our summit was a really good example of that. And so I get impatient and I go start something else, and I quit before I fail. Sometimes. So good lessons to learn there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think coming back to simplicity too is sometimes when we get so caught up in all the details, it's easy to lose sight of what the actual goal was. And so like even
Right.
something as simple as writing the goal down and having it somewhere visible, because it's so easy to think, okay, I'm gonna start this thing and this is my goal. And then 3 months through the trudgery, all of a sudden you realize that you're pointing in the wrong direction because you got sidetracked by little things all along the way. And so having something that's like right in front of you, reminding you, I think that's one of the simplest things you could do is, like a sticky note on your screen or, on the desktop that just reminds you of what is your goal.
Or
Right.
you
Yeah.
draw a erase board in the background and keeping things in check.
Right.
This side is very heavy. This side is not. You
Yeah.
see where my focus needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I think that just like for me, one of the big words of the year really is intentionality and being intentional with my time. And that can be broken up into so many different things. What am I intentional about? And, I'm intentionally trying to simplify my life so that I can have balance. Like there's
I
so
think
many
that would
words.
be a great word for another week, actually. We could probably do 30 minutes on intentionality. I think we could do 30 minutes on attitude. I think we could do, there's a lot of good stuff there. So don't unpack intentionality yet, because I know you've got a lot to say about it. And I'd like to dig deep into that. But being intentional about simplification, because what did you say your goal coming into this year was? You
Balance.
said balance, right? And I think it's important, and we use the it's 2020 or but COVID or whatever. I think is it's becoming a crutch in some ways, or an excuse even, or some way to kind of justify some sort of getting off track and not wanting to do what it takes to get back on track. So, but we do have to. I think it would be irresponsible to not acknowledge that COVID has put all kinds of things in. Well, just this year in general, there's been a lot of things happen that have taken our plan, because we can have a good plan, right? You can have a goal of balance, and you can have a good plan, and all of that, and all the like real research and real data to say this is not a halfway put together. This is a really good plan, and I have every reason to believe that I can follow this plan and reach my goal. And then sometimes, just sometimes, things come in and ruin that plan. Factors that are beyond our control come in. And I think this year's been a really good example of factors that are outside of our control really coming in and sabotaging our plans a little bit. But that doesn't mean that your goal can't still be met. It just means we have to make adjustments to the plan. And I've seen people, you and I have talked about this many, many times over the years, but seeing people that are so committed to the plan that they forget the goal.
Yes.
Right? So I've got a goal of balance, and then I've got a plan to get there. And if I'm so committed to the path that I forget that, like, this plan doesn't work anymore because of something that's beyond my control comes and introduces, I got to change that plan, because the destination is what's most important. The plan doesn't mean crap. Plan is based on what I know today. Here's how I'm going to reach my goal. But when something comes in and sabotages that plan, you got to adjust the plans. You can't be so committed to the plan that you fail to reach the goal because you don't look up, right?
Yep.
And so I think balance is something we can still achieve this year. I think we can simplify. Again, simplifying, going back to maybe it's just a matter of scrapping the plan and putting a new one together that's going to get us to the goal based on the new information that we have. So that's kind of cool. I like it, man.
Yeah. I think the balance would be a good word that we can talk about too, because there's so many things that are there, and we won't go down that rabbit hole, but we'll keep a note on that for the future, because I have a visual in my mind of balance that I think is a little bit.
You can illustrate for us when we get to balance. You can draw a picture and put a slide up.
I'm not. I might be a photographer, but I'm not an artist.
Well, that's why we have PowerPoint.
I'll work on it. I'll work on it until next week. But I think that it's easier to balance when things are simple. Because
oh wow, that's yeah. You gotta write that quote down. I think that's profound.
Yes. Think about if you're standing on a rock that is on a ball. Like maybe a flat rock that's on a ball, or a board that's on a ball, a small ball, and a big board. It's very hard to balance to keep that board off the ground. But a teeter-totter only goes two directions. That's
right.
Easier to balance, right? But a three-legged stool is much easier to balance than that. So the simplicity that we can bring into our lives will help us to accomplish the other things, because we don't have to focus on so many things in alternate directions. I have a video on my YouTube channel about focus, and it's really heavily focused on the things that we are losing focus on. Because when we are so focused, laser focused on one thing, there are so many other things that are not gaining our focus that sometimes are very, very, very important. So I encourage anybody that's watching this, that you want to learn more about intentionality or focus or any of that stuff, check out my channel on YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Roy Browning. And those videos are there and talks a lot about them. And we'll talk more about those other key words. But coming back to the word simplicity, it's just the easier, the more simple that you make it, the easier it is to balance.
Well, we've experienced this with building the, purelotto.com, right? The website itself, it's like the model was supposed to be super, super, super elaborate and have all these different things. And um, it that didn't work out so well. So we went to a more simplified tool and then made a more simplified model. But I'm really excited that most of the features that we wanted, like literally 98% of the features that we wanted in purelotto.com are there, including the affiliate program and the recurring payment processing and all those different tools. That's cool. Hey, well, we only got a couple of minutes, but I got to share this one thing. So about simplification, when we were at McCann and we were working on the Army business, I took a tour to Redstone Arsenal, and I got to which is one of the most amazing places, especially if you get the backstage tour, right? So they took us into all these labs and we got to see all these cool things being built. And the one thing that just fascinated me about Redstone is that everyone there is an engineer of some sort. And I'm like, I kind of got a little bit of jealousy in me. I was like, man, everybody's an engineer for that and engineer this. And so I literally got back to the hotel and I Googled, what is an engineer? I kind of knew what an engineer was, but I was looking for like a general definition of engineer that I could really understand. Like, how are you an engineer? Because that kind of kept coming to mind. And the definition, hopefully I don't mess it up too bad, but the definition I got is an engineer, someone who finds a simple solution to a complicated problem. And I was like, that is so cool. I'm a marketing engineer because that's what I do. Everybody wants to make marketing so complicated. And what I do is I come in and I look at the complicated problem and then I simplify it and build a solution, a marketing plan or strategy that's going to make it really simple to execute and to understand and to deliver the message. And that's how we boiled marketing down to delivering the message. You go look at I've got a meme or something out there, a quote that says, or video, I don't even remember what it is, but it says, marketing is simply delivering the message. Let's not overcomplicate it. Now, there are layers to that, like making sure the right message goes to the right person. But when we start talking about marketing, that's it. And I think that's true about Pure Lotto. It's just about getting the message to the right people, simplifying it. If it's too complicated, people won't use it. People won't understand it, and that's why they won't use it. So here we are. I think it's a really cool product. It's a really cool website, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, Joe, hey, thanks for setting this up and having a time to talk about the word simplicity today. Now I'm like really looking forward to next week's word. Like I can't wait.
I don't even know what next week's word is yet. Maybe some of the viewers will give us a word to go.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe John Maxwell will, or maybe we'll go to intentionality. I don't know.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, man. Hey, well, I'm sure I'll see you in a meeting at some point today, but thanks for jumping on this morning. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And then maybe next week I'll figure out how to get Facebook Live to work.
All right. Cool.